The desert stretched endlessly, shimmering beneath the cruel sun. The wind carried dust and the faint scent of dry sagebrush, whispering stories of men who had lived, fought and died on this unforgiving land. Miles from the nearest town stood a small, broken ranch. Its fences sagged. The barn leaned like an old man ready to collapse. It belonged to Elias Ward, a poor rancher whose life had been nothing but drought and loss. His cattle were gone, his wife buried, and his only son had gone off to fight in a war he never believed in. Elias was alone now, alone with the wind, the dust, and an old stone well that had seen more life than he ever would. That morning, as he hauled a bucket of water from the well, the air went still. The kind of silence that makes your skin crawl. He looked up and saw them. A line of riders appeared across the horizon. Apache warriors. Their long black hair shimmered in the heat, their faces painted in red and ash, their spears glinting like fire. At their front rode a woman, tall, calm, fierce, her eyes like thunder and her step like command. Elias didn't move. He didn't reach for his rifle. He just filled a tin cup and waited. When the riders stopped before him, the woman dismounted and stared hard at the rancher. "You offer water," she said slowly, her accent sharp but clear. "You know who we are?" Elias nodded. "I know." "Then why?" she asked. He looked at the cup, then at her. "Because a thirsty soul doesn't have an enemy." The woman's eyes softened just a little. She stepped forward, took the cup, and drank. The other warriors watched in silence. Then she poured the last few drops onto the cracked earth and whispered something in her native tongue. When she looked back at him, she said, "You show respect. No white man has done that for my people." "I'm not much of a man anymore," Elias replied. "Just a rancher trying to survive." She nodded once solemnly. "My name is Taya, daughter of Chief Nantan. Remember it." Before she rode away, she placed a small carved token on the well's edge, a wooden feather, painted red and white. "If you ever find yourself in danger," she said, "show this. My people will know your name." Then she and her warriors vanished into the sunlit horizon, leaving behind only the echo of hooves and the taste of dust. Elias stood by the well, the token warm in his palm. He didn't know it yet, but that simple act of offering water would ripple through the desert like a secret wind. By nightfall, word would spread among the tribes. A white man gave water to the Apache, and soon both sides of the war would hear of it. That night, Elias couldn't sleep. The image of Taya haunted his thoughts, the strength in her eyes, the calm in her voice. For the first time in years, he felt something like peace. But in this land, peace was a short-lived dream. At dawn, the sound of hooves broke the silence again, but this time, it wasn't Apache. It was soldiers. They rode up to his ranch. Dust swirling around them, rifles slung and eyes cold. The captain dismounted and glared. "You Elias Ward?" Elias nodded. "We tracked Apache riders through here. You see them?" Elias hesitated. "I saw riders. Did they attack you?" "No." "Then why'd they come?" "They were thirsty," Elias said simply. The captain's eyes narrowed. "You gave water to the enemy?" Elias met his gaze. "They're men, and men need water. You help them, you stand with them," the captain snapped. Elias didn't blink. "Maybe I just stood with what's right." The captain's voice turned to steel. "You think kindness will save you, Ward? You're wrong. Mercy's just weakness in a war like this." They rode off, but Elias knew what came next. Pursuit, blood, vengeance. And the Apache would be the target. That night, Elias saddled his horse. The wooden feather hung from his neck, tapping softly with each heartbeat. He wasn't a fighter, but he couldn't stay silent while those who spared him were hunted down. He rode into the desert. Hours passed before he found them, Taya and her warriors, their camp hidden among the rocks. When he stepped into the firelight, rifles rose instantly. Taya's voice cut through the tension. "Elias Ward, why are you here?" He raised the feather. "Because danger's coming. Soldiers tracked your trail. They'll be here before dawn." The warriors murmured. Some wanted to fight, others to flee. Taya's gaze locked on his. "Why warn us?" Elias swallowed hard. "You didn't kill me when you could have. You drank my water. That's reason enough." Taya studied him, then nodded. "Then you fight with us." "I'm no soldier," he said. "Then fight as a man who keeps his word." They scattered the campfire and took their positions in the shadows. Hours later, the ground trembled. The soldiers were coming. Gunfire split the night. The Apache fought like ghosts, vanishing between rocks and returning with deadly precision. Elias fired beside them, heart-pounding, not out of hatred but out of loyalty. Through the chaos, he saw Taya facing the captain himself. She knocked the weapon from his hand and pressed her knife to his throat. "Enough!" she shouted. "No more death tonight." The field fell silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. "You came to kill," she said, eyes blazing. "My people came to live. Go back and tell your army. Apache will not bow. But we will not spill blood without reason." Elias stepped forward, voice low. "She's right, Captain. You can end this war right here." The officer glared at him, then at Taya. Finally, he lowered his eyes. "You'll regret this, Mercy Ward." He called his men, and they rode away into the breaking dawn. When quiet returned, the desert glowed gold under the first light. Taya turned to Elias. "You risked your life for those not your own." Elias smiled faintly. "Maybe that's how we stop being enemies." She watched him for a moment, then extended her hand. He took it. A bond, wordless yet strong, passed between them. "When the stories of this war are told," Taya said softly, "they'll say one poor rancher offered water and the desert remembered." Elias stood watching as the Apache disappeared into the sunrise. He looked down at the feather around his neck, feeling the quiet weight of history. He rode back home as the wind whispered through the dry grass. The same land that once divided them now felt alive with something new, hope. And that hope began with a single act of kindness. A bucket of water, and a man brave enough to see the human in his enemy. If this story touched your heart, remember this. One act of kindness can end a lifetime of hate. One good man can change the course of war. If you believe in mercy, courage, and the power of humanity, subscribe to the channel for more emotional, powerful Western stories that remind us all sometimes the smallest kindness can echo forever across the desert.